What's up guys, it's Ian here, back today with another video, and today I'm here to give you the weekly training roundup with voiceover for the week of January 17th, 2022. I started off today's workout with weighted dips. Today I just did 3 sets of 10. I performed these with a bit of a slower tempo on the way down. They weren't all super slow, but I was really focusing on reaching a good quality support at the top of each repetition. I know a lot of the time I'll cut off the top of my dip repetitions, and today I really focused on reaching a good quality support at the top of each repetition, and I think that cut down the number of reps that I felt like I was able to do before getting close to failure. So my warm-up consisted of 2 sets of support shrugs and 2 sets of bodyweight dips, and then after that I went into my 3 sets of 10 of weighted dips with only 45 pounds. I might start decreasing the reps, adding weight, and working my way up to heavier weighted dips in the near future. After those weighted dips, I performed 2 sets of rings turned out push-ups. I pulled out the new wooden rings today. I've had these for a long time. I just never used them because I had my yellow plastic rings set up for so long and I just got used to them. The yellow rings are actually a little bit thicker, but they are made of plastic. These wooden rings feel as if they're a few millimeters thinner. I don't think they're a full size smaller, but they are a little bit thinner. They felt nice. I only performed 2 sets worth of exercises on them today, so it's really hard to give you much feedback on them. But once I've spent more time with these rings, I'll probably make a comparison video of the wooden rings versus plastic rings. This week's workout number 1 is coming in on Tuesday. I actually didn't work out on Monday. I was feeling pretty tired and brutalized on Monday this week because last week on Saturday I did a full upper body workout, and by Monday I just wasn't fully recovered, so I took those 2 days off in a row, and Tuesday is my day 1 this week. This week I'll probably work out 3 times. I'll probably train Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, trying to make each of those days kind of like a full body workout. So that's what happened scheduling wise. Fundamentally, these rings turned out push-ups felt okay today. I was still a bit tired. It might have just been because of poor sleep or some other issues, but I did power through the entire workout. After those rings turned out push-ups, I performed 2 sets of push-ups on parallettes. I tried to perform these with a lot of control today. I went a lot slower. I only did 2 sets of 12 repetitions here. Some of the repetitions were slower than others. I know that they probably look a bit inconsistent, but I am trying to focus on control and use good technique, really getting all the way to the top on each of these repetitions. After my 2 sets of bodyweight push-ups on parallettes, I moved on to medium planche variations. I performed 3 sets of the advanced tuck planche. These felt really hard today. Honestly, I was able to hold these for less duration than I'm typically able to. These felt a lot harder than normal. It might be because I took 1 day off my planche training last week. I only trained it twice instead of 3 times. I feel like typically that would improve my performance in the following week. Maybe it's just something else. Maybe I slept badly. So it remains to be seen why they felt so hard today, and I will revisit the movement again and just see exactly what happened. That'll give me a better idea as to why today felt so hard on that exercise. Maybe it's acute fatigue. Maybe it's something else altogether. Maybe I just didn't sleep well enough, rest well enough. Maybe it's nutrition related. It could be a lot of things. So I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I'm just taking mental inventory. I know it was difficult today. I'll try something else on Wednesday and just keep it moving forward. Still accumulated a bit of training volume on that, 3 sets. After those medium planche variations, I moved on to bodyweight chin ups. I just performed 3 sets of 10 here, pretty mild. The first set was kind of a warm-up, first back exercise of the day, just a set of 10 there. On the second and third set, I actually performed these with a thumbless grip. That felt pretty good actually. It's a bit different to how I normally do it. I don't think I would perform weighted chin-ups like this, but for bodyweight chin-ups, pretty low intensity for me relatively speaking, relative to weighted chin-ups at least. I did kind of like that thumbless grip. I felt like it gave me a good mind-muscle connection, allowed me a few degrees of rotation at the wrist, and just made it a little bit more comfortable. Really just here for extra back volume, trying to get that 3 times a week frequency on back overall without having such a brutalizing effect. If each of your workouts are super brutal, it's probably not that realistic to train chest or back 3 times a week, but if you have 2 kind of primary boluses of training volume for chest and back and 1 kind of medium-sized bump in training volume, it's really kind of like 2.5 weekly frequency, but it's still more realistic than 3 brutal brutal workouts. And it probably yields a little bit better results than just 2 workouts. It's kind of that middle ground Goldilocks zone. After those bodyweight chin-ups, I performed 3 sets of front lever variations. Today I performed 2 sets of the half lay. That's basically just a front lever with your knees bent. First set felt pretty good, although I spent a little bit too much time lowering down. I thought I was in the right position, and then I finally get to the right position and I'm a bit tired by then and I fall out of it. I could have lowered down into that position a little bit sooner and I think it would have been more effective. Second set was okay as well. On some days I actually find the half lay to be easier than the straddle. Sometimes if my hips are tight or I'm having any type of hip or back pain, the half lay is a little bit more comfortable for me than the straddle. I know traditionally for most people the straddle is considered to be a lot easier, but that's really only if you're flexible enough to get a wide straddle and you don't have any issues with the hips or back. If you're not that flexible, the half lay might actually be pretty similar to the straddle. You can also try out half lay with a slightly wide knee position, and that might also be worth trying out and just see how it is for you. On the third set of front lever practice today, I just performed an advanced tuck because I felt like those 2 sets of half lay took a lot of energy, so I just moved on to an easier variation just to get that training volume in. Similar position at the shoulders and back, just a different hip position, much easier, longer hold time, all of those reasons. After the front lever practice, I moved on and I performed 3 sets of standing band curls. I do these pretty often. I actually made a standalone video of this exercise. It was pretty popular. It's one of my more viewed recent videos, maybe just because it's so short, but the standing band curl, I perform it with a thumbs up grip. I've tried turning the palm up. It doesn't work so well with this configuration of band. I think if you had a different type of handle on the band, it might feel more comfortable, but if the band's coming out one side of your hand, it just doesn't feel natural at all to turn the palm up. It actually causes me some elbow discomfort. Maybe it won't for you, but either way, when I perform this exercise, I like to have a thumbs up grip, firm grip, and then slow down just below 90 degrees at the elbow, right around, and just above. So I'm really trying to milk out that range of motion just below and above that 90 degrees mark, both on the way up and on the way down. Sometimes I'll even pause at the highest point that I reach, and then I'll kind of lower slowly. Maybe my rep speed isn't that consistent on all of the reps, but that is what I'm thinking about. So I'm really thinking about trying to use control on the way up and on the way down. Don't let the band snap you back down into that bottom position, but use control in both directions on this exercise. After those band curls, I performed a few sets of band face pulls. Here I'm trying to show you a camera angle from the front since I've traditionally always used the same camera angle on this exercise. Show you a few different contact points. The contact point on the face will kind of influence where you feel this exercise. So on some of the sets here, I'm contacting on the chin. Some of the sets I'm contacting more around nose height. I think if I had a rope or band with 2 additional endpoints, then I might consider contacting even higher around eye or eyebrow level. But either way, you're just kind of pulling these at your face. It's really up to you, and whatever is the most comfortable for you and creates the least joint stress. You can try out chin, nose, eyebrows, try out all of those contact points, see which one feels the best for you. I have a feeling that the most comfortable contact point is going to change based on the thickness of the band that you use, where you're standing in relation to the anchor point, whether you're seated or standing in relation to an anchor point, and if that band is a full loop band or has 2 separate handles, or if it's a rope, which inherently would have 2 separate handles. All of those things will influence the contact point. I don't think that there's just one default contact point, because the natural contact point, as I said, it's going to change based on where your anchor point is, either where that pulley is coming from or where your band is affixed, and whether you're sitting or standing, basically the change in height and also length of the cable segment or band segment. All of those are going to play a role in where the most natural point of contact is for the face pull. So just try these out, and really just trial and error is going to tell you where you as an individual will prefer aiming for on the face based on what kind of setup you have at home. After those band face pulls, I just performed a few sets of bird dogs and dead bugs. These are just a few mild exercises for the core, basically. I've been performing them because I feel like they help me stimulate blood flow through through the glutes and abs. I've had a bit of SI joint issues in the past. I think it's related to sitting too much, especially when I'm editing videos. Sometimes I'll sit down for 3 or 4 hours at a time. Prolonged periods of sitting, for me, it's caused SI joint discomfort, numbness, a whole host of issues. These are some exercises that my physical therapist recommended for me. At one point, the pain actually got pretty bad. I feel like I have a reasonably high pain threshold, but maybe if you had a lesser pain threshold, would have been considered debilitating pain at a certain point. It was actually quite bad, but it's not that bad right now, so don't feel bad for me. Just giving an explanation on why I'm doing these exercises. I don't think you have to do these exercises, but if you've had a history of low back pain or SI joint issues, you can experiment with these exercises and see if they help you. It's no guarantee that they will help you, but maybe they will. It's at least worth trying. If you've been trying out other things and other things haven't worked, you can try out these things. I know for me in the past, I've also really enjoyed reverse hyperextensions as an exercise that kind of has helped me deal with SI joint low back pain, non-specific low back pain in the past, where no particular injury has been diagnosed. You just have some kind of general pain or tightness, discomfort. The reverse hypers have helped me just kind of get some blood flow through that area in the past. It's a similar category of exercise. You don't have to do it, but if you get a beneficial effect from it, then maybe it's worth including temporarily or even long term. Again, nothing magical about any of those exercises. It's not a medical diagnosis and there's no certainty in the outcome that they may bring you, but I have found the reverse hypers to be somewhat helpful for myself in the past, managing that type of non-specific low back pain, SI joint pain. I don't have access to a good setup to perform reverse hypers at home. I could perform them on a kind of bar stool style stool that I have at home, but it is a bit of a sketchy setup and it's not super stable. Kind of feels like I might fall over, so I don't want to show that in a video and get other people hurt. I do like the exercise, and if you do have a good way of performing it, I recommend at least trying it if you've been battling low back pain. It's given me some relief in the past. I might try to figure out an updated way of setting up that exercise at home, and if I do, I'll make it a standalone video because I think it is a worthwhile exercise. If you have a lot of space in a garage or home gym, maybe even consider buying the machine. You could buy a glute ham raise machine and perform reverse hypers on it. Not really weighted, but you can perform bodyweight reverse hypers holding on to a glute ham raise machine, or you can buy the dedicated reverse hyper machine, although it is a pretty big machine to only unlock one exercise on. This has probably been a lot of audio for this installment of the weekly training roundup series. Maybe if you've been battling some low back pain, non-specific, no diagnosed injury type of thing, just some general discomfort or tightness, maybe you can try out these bird dogs or dead bugs, maybe some reverse hypers, and let me know down in the comment section if it helps you at all. As always, I will see you on the Wednesday edition of this week's weekly training roundup series, and until then, don't let anybody stop your gains. What's up, guys? It's Ian here, back today giving you the weekly training roundup with voiceover. Today I went to a gym with one of my friends, so I only got one set of each exercise recorded, but I'll just give you the voiceover regardless and just show you each of these exercises looped if I have to. The first exercise was weighted chin-ups. I performed 3 sets. I used 45 pounds on all 3 sets. The first set I got 6 repetitions. The second set I got 8 repetitions. This is the set recorded. And then on the third set I just got 5 repetitions. The 5th rep kind of slowed down a bit. It was still pretty technically consistent though. I felt like maybe my technique would have gotten a bit ugly if I'd attempted to grind out a 6, 7, or 8 on that 3rd set. I just got a different number of repetitions on each set. I was aiming for this to feel like a rated of perceived exertion 7 or 8 here. After those chin-ups, I performed 2 sets of advanced tuck front lever, and then after that I performed 1 set of straddle front lever hold, which you can see here. This is the set that I actually recorded. This felt alright. I can't hold these for too long with shoes on, and I was a little bit tired, but overall it was fine. After the front lever practice, I didn't have access to rings or a TRX, so I just went ahead and I performed some advanced tuck front lever body rows. Just got 1 set recorded here. I performed 2 sets of this exercise, each of the sets falling in that 5 to 6 repetition range. This is a good option for an exercise if you're training the front lever and you just want a horizontal back exercise to complement your vertical pulls. This is a great body weight exercise if you don't have any equipment except a pull-up bar or a tree. Maybe you're throwing some gymnastics rings in a tree. This exercise can give you a great high force production horizontal back exercise. I'd say that this exercise is even more difficult than bodyweight pull-ups and chin-ups, and it's a great exercise to have in your arsenal, whether you're performing it on a straight bar or gymnastics rings. After those advanced tuck front lever body rows, I performed 3 sets of push-ups on the floor. In the first set, I got 30 repetitions, and then I got 25 repetitions in the second set, and between 20 and 25 repetitions in the third set. It's normal to have your repetitions decrease a bit set to set. Sure, I could get several sets of 30 if I rested sufficiently. I just felt like resting about 1 to 3 minutes in that range there, and I got a few less repetitions, but the rate of perceived exertion was similar, and the proximity to failure was similar as well. I wasn't grinding reps out by the end of each of these sets. They were still relatively quick repetitions, but I could feel that I had gotten a good effect in. It's a bit harder to maintain really precise technique on these higher repetition sets. You can have your technique be consistent within a certain degree of error. Each repetition is not going to look exactly the same because you're doing so many repetitions. It's a lot easier to have your reps all look the same when you're doing a set of 3 to 6 repetitions. But if you're doing 30 repetitions in a set, yeah, they're going to start to look pretty different. But as long as they fall within that acceptable range, you're going to be just fine. So don't worry about having all of those repetitions look exactly the same. After those push-ups on the floor, I just performed a few sets of dumbbell curls. I did 2 sets of dumbbell curls with 20-pound dumbbells, and then I got my friend to record my third set of dumbbell curls. I did them with 30 pounds because when I had gone over to get my friend to do the recording, somebody poached my 20-pound dumbbells. There weren't any 25s or anything in between nearby, and I didn't want to do it with less weight, so I performed them with 30s today. A little heavier than I wanted, but the technique was okay. I wouldn't say it was like completely clean, but they looked pretty good. I feel like I kept my hips locked out, maybe a little bit of swing up at the bottom. Not the strictest curls, but they were pretty strict. They were within an acceptable range, and I was okay with that. After the curls, I actually finished the recording of this workout at the gym. I did do a few other exercises at the gym before leaving that I didn't get recorded. I found a dip bar and I did some support shrugs. So I did some support shrugs. I'll show you some footage here recorded from a different day just so you can know what that exercise is. And then I performed some support to planche hip lifts. I'm not sure what this exercise is called, but it's really just where you're holding support on bars and then you lift your hips until you're in that tuck planche position. I just performed a few sets of these. I consider that to be kind of like an ab exercise, but it also hits the serratus, definitely trains the same muscles that you use in the planche variations, but not to the same degree as the actual planche variations. It's a bit easier. The reason why it's easier is because the legs are more centered beneath the body and the legs are not quite as much under the hips or even behind you. So that's why the leverages involved make the support to hip raise with straight legs a lot easier than even a tuck planche, and definitely a lot easier than an advanced tuck or anything beyond that. After leaving the gym, I went home. I actually went through my whole day, but later that night, you'll see some footage here where I'm performing a few sets of dead bugs for the abs and some tuck planche. This was my easy planche practice. I just performed 3 sets of tuck planche and 2 longer sets of dead bugs. So those dead bugs and tuck planche bring us to the end of Wednesday's workout. What's up, guys? It's Ian here, back today, giving you the voiceover for the weekly training roundup series. And today I'm here to give you the voiceover for the 3rd workout of this week. This is Friday and Saturday's workout condensed. I performed it on Saturday. This week, I just worked out 3 times on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, every other day. It's because I worked out last Saturday and it was a full upper body day. I wasn't fully recovered by this Monday, so I pushed back my entire training cycle to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Today's workout was essentially a condensed upper body workout. I combined the pushing and pulling exercises. I started off with band dips. I warmed up with a few sets of support shrugs. Then after that, I performed a few sets of bodyweight dips. And then after that, I performed 1 set of dips with the yellow band. I performed 1 set of dips with just the black band. And by then, I was feeling pretty warm. I was actually really cold, so that's why I had such a long warm-up. My warm-up consisted of a few sets of support shrugs, a few sets of bodyweight dips, yellow band, black band, and then I performed 3 sets of band-resisted dips with the yellow band and the black band. Here, I'm using the full length of the band. I'm not choking up on the band like I did in my previous standalone band dip tutorial. If you only have access to 1 band, then choking up on that band and actually shortening the band does give you a very convenient way of progressing load in in this exercise, you could take a yardstick and actually draw out measured lines on your band. You'd have a good idea of exactly how much length you're taking out as you progress the exercise. So just a thought there if you only have access to one band and you are really trying to get the most out of these band resisted dips. After the band resisted dips, I performed 3 sets of overhand pull-ups on rings. The first set, I just had my legs bent at the knee. Second set, I performed it in kind of an L-sit fashion, facing towards the camera. And then in the third set, I performed these with kind of an L-sit but the knees bent. I don't think doing L-sit pull-ups is particularly useful. Maybe it looks cool for the camera. I mostly just did it to get my legs out of the way since the rings put my hand height a little bit lower than normal and I didn't want my legs crashing into the ground and interrupting my set. I think in the first 2 repetitions I performed sets of 10, third set of 8. Maybe I didn't rest too long. I was a little fatigued. If I had rested longer, could have gotten 10. I probably could have forced myself to do 15 repetitions honestly, but I was feeling a bit fatigued and I will talk about that a little more later in the video. After the 3 sets of pull-ups, I moved on to front lever practice. First set of front lever today was a straddle front lever. The second set of front lever today was a half lay front lever, but I had my knees a bit apart. Earlier this week, I talked about how I felt like the half lay is a little easier for me than the straddle. I was kind of reconsidering it after today. It might have actually just been because I sometimes do my half lays with my knees a bit apart, which actually just makes it a straddle with the knees bent. But hey, if you're struggling with the straddle front lever, if you're stuck somewhere in between advanced tuck and straddle, try out a straddle with knees bent. I feel like straddle with knees bent is actually easier than straddle, which is probably why I thought half lay was easier than straddle. I wasn't doing the half lay correctly. All right, so that second set there was kind of more like a half lay with the knees apart. The third set was a true half lay, and I really deliberately forced my knees together even before I got into that inverted hang. You can see me dropping down into this half lay with my knees together, and this felt harder than the straddle front lever. So there you have it. The half lay is probably actually going to be harder than the straddle for most people if you have your knees touching. But if you're unable to straddle yet, try out the straddle with knees bent or half lay with legs apart. However you want to title it, that is a variation that can potentially fall in between the straddle and the advanced tuck in terms of difficulty. After my front lever practice for today, I actually rested for about 10 minutes. I was watching some stuff on the phone that was a bit time sensitive, and I kind of wanted to experiment seeing what would happen if I rested longer as well. So after my front lever practice, I rested about 10 minutes, maybe even a little more, somewhere in that 10-minute range, and then I got into my band assisted planche practice. I performed 3 sets of band assisted straddle planche, and these actually felt pretty good. The first 2 sets, they felt pretty good. I think I was actually bent at the hip. I was probably struggling to lock out the hip here. The camera angle makes it look probably even worse than it really is, but either way, I'm not trying to deny it. I definitely was not locked out at the hip, and that does make it easier. I'm not trying to delude you guys, and I'm not trying to delude myself either, because ultimately the point is to be honest with yourself in analyzing your training, and that's gonna give you the best results long term. The third set was also very tough. You can see me collapse to the floor and kind of laugh it off, but either way, 3 sets of band assisted straddle planche, and I think the long period of rest between my earlier half of the workout and this planche practice really paid off. I felt a lot better than normal. Normally, I'm going into this planche practice a lot more fatigued. So yeah, I would recommend it if you have the time in your workout to take. Maybe give yourself 5 minutes or so between the exercise prior and your front lever or planche practice if you want to really get the most out of it and not have residual fatigue from the earlier exercises. I don't really like doing front lever or planche practice first thing in a workout because I just feel like my core body temperature is more likely to be cold. Maybe I'm just more likely to suffer connective tissue stress, which I definitely want to avoid because I value training frequently and I don't want to have joint pain limiting what I'm able to do. It could also be worth experimenting just having a really thorough warm-up and just getting your core body temperature elevated through very easy exercises, things that you subjectively find easy. For me, that would be things like support shrugs, maybe some body weight dips or horizontal body rows. Nothing fatiguing, but things that are just gonna kind of get the blood flow going, and then maybe some band curls, something like that, and jump into the planche or front lever practice. You could probably get more out of it by positioning those exercises earlier in the workout too, if you want to prioritize your skill work. For me, I'm kind of prioritizing my hypertrophy work and putting the skill work as a secondary priority because it is still really important to me, but maybe not more important than the multi-joint hypertrophy exercises that actually are not isometric, that incorporate a range of motion. Maybe I am still slightly skewed towards the hypertrophy and strength outcomes in terms of general general strength, but not skill strength. After the planche practice, I performed a band lat pushdown to tricep pushdown superset. So I performed that straight arm pushdown first, standing up, and then after that, still holding the band, I kneeled down and I performed some tricep pushdowns with that band. This is a great superset if you don't have that pulley system set up and you do have a band. You can get 2 of these exercises done at once. If you want to make it a triset, you can perform some band face pulls. I use the same anchor point for all 3 exercises. It makes it so you can very seamlessly move from exercise to exercise and you don't have to change where the band is anchored. A very good superset or even triset if you want to do it. You can do the straight arm lat pushdown, tricep pushdown, face pulls. Get all 3 of those taken care of. Obviously, you're not going to get the same performance out of any 3 of them as you would if you had just done them separately, but honestly, I didn't really notice a big decrease in performance. I probably could have forced myself into that 15 to 20 range on any of these exercises if I had felt like it. I'm mostly just doing these for some extra volume, and you can save a lot of time doing these in superset or tricep fashion. After that band straight arm lat pushdown, tricep pushdown superset, I moved on to band curls to high rep push-up supersets. I just performed sets of 10 repetitions per arm on the band curls. I had my hand about halfway up that band, just using a nice firm grip, trying to use control, going pretty slow around that 90-degree mark, both on the way up and down, a few degrees above and below 90 degrees, just to really get the most out of it, thinking about that mind-muscle connection. And then after that, dropping down and doing about 30 push-ups. I think I did 3 sets worth of this superset. On all 3 sets, I got 10 repetitions on each arm with the band curls, although the exercise is really more about the time under tension that you get around that 90-degree elbow angle than it is about the number of repetitions you're getting. You can do a bunch of repetitions of this band curl really quickly, and that'll generate a completely different hypertrophy response than if you were to use control and really get that mind-muscle connection. The idea here is not to care about how many repetitions we're really doing, is to create as much muscle disruption as we can with the bands that we have available to us. So whatever bands you have available to you, just think about it like that. The band curl, it's not about the repetitions necessarily. You're just trying to disrupt the bicep as much as you can with the equipment that you have available to you. So that goes for really anything, whether it's a band or a dumbbell curl. This is not really a performance exercise. Yes, there are strict curl competitions, and if you care about that, then that is a little bit different, but still categorically, this is a developmental exercise. A dumbbell curl or a band curl is never a competitive exercise. The strict curl is performed with an easy bar. So yeah, I still stand by that. This is a developmental exercise. Nobody cares how many reps you're doing. Just disrupt the muscle as much as you can with the equipment you have available. So whether you're limited by weights or bands or any other constraints, just use what you have available. Get the most out of that training there. I got about 10 repetitions per arm on each of these 3 sets of the curls, and then on the push-ups, I believe I went 30, 30, and 25. I think I forgot to hit record, or I accidentally stopped the recording on the first set of my push-ups, but I did get the second and third sets, so you'll just probably see those there. And yeah, after that band curl to high rep push-up superset, that finished off the workout. In case I forgot to mention it, I performed 3 sets of the straight arm band lat pushdown to tricep pushdown superset, and 3 sets of band curls to high rep push-up superset. So 3 sets worth of each of those supersets for a total of 3 sets of lats, I guess 3 sets of triceps, and then 3 sets of biceps, and 3 sets of whatever you count push-ups as. Maybe it's 1.5 sets of chest, 1.5 sets of triceps, something like that. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this week's installment of the weekly training roundup series. Drop your comments down below if you'd like to see me break down any specific exercises, any fitness questions, certain types of diet questions that aren't outside my scope of practice, really anything related to exercise and fitness. Drop your comments down below. Let me have those questions. I'll put them in the next question and answer video, or make a standalone video if it does seem like a universal enough question that a lot of people could benefit from. Thank you for watching this video, especially if you watched the whole thing and made it to the end and didn't skip around. I appreciate you the most. Honestly, my level of physical fatigue has been pretty high. I would say it's almost been brimming over this week. I've been pretty beat. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because mentally I actually I'm almost hungrier than ever. I really want the results. I really want to get closer to the skills that I'm aiming for. I really want to get stronger and keep gaining muscle, but physically my performance is not where I want it to be. And I feel as if I keep dragging out this training block, it's just going to get worse and worse, and I feel like I'm kind of beating myself into the ground. I've had a few off weeks this training block, and I think I've gathered enough information to where I can restructure my training going forward and get a better result. So this was the 6th week in a row of accumulation, essentially. This was the 6th week of this weekly training roundup series. The series is not coming to an end. I will keep putting out this series. I might even give you a short version of this series for my deload week, just to show you what my deloads look like and give you a general idea of what to think about when deloading. Might treat the deload as a pivot in a way, so not just a deload from the exercises of the prior block, but I might take this weekend to actually redesign my training plan for the upcoming training block. I'm going to do that redesign, treat this next week as a pivot, which is going to be week 7, and then for week 8, you'll actually see a restructured training plan, which I will restructure using information that I gathered from this 6-week accumulation period. Sometimes you got to know when to call an accumulation block quits. Even though mentally I want to keep going, physically my performance isn't where I want it to be, and that's fine. It was just practice, developmental stuff. I'm going to try to dial in my sleep and nutrition a little bit more, really get that on point. And in the upcoming training block, once I've restructured my training, I'll keep bringing you this content. So once again, thank you for watching this video. This one was a little bit longer, explaining the reasoning for bringing this accumulation block to an end and what I'm going to do about it, both in planning to deload and then planning to restructure the training plan. So I've said it a lot of times now, but thank you for watching this video, and don't let anybody stop your gains.